In St. Louis, there have been daily protests over the acquittal of a white former police officer in the shooting death of an unarmed black man. The latest demonstrations took place last night when protests shut down one lane of Interstate 64 in St. Louis. Police said demonstrators drove to the area, got out of their cars, and began marching on the highway. Several protesters were arrested, including the man who was one of the co-chairs of the Ferguson Commission. In December of 2011, Anthony Lamar Smith was fatally shot by Jason Stockley following a police chase stemming from a suspected drug deal. Prosecutors say Stockley shot Smith 5 times and then planted a .38 caliber revolver in Smith's car. Only Stockley's DNA and not Smith's was found on the gun. Police dash cam video presented during the trial also showed Stockley saying during the chase that he would kill Smith, but a judge acquitted Stockley of the murder charges on September 15th, triggering widespread protests in St. Louis. Joining us right now is Anthony Shaheed, a longtime activist in the city and president of the Tawhid Youth Group. Anthony, the protests are continuing. They have not stopped since this acquittal. You're now in your third week. What do you want to get out of these protests?
Well, really what I wanted to talk about, Brother Martin, first of all, I want to thank you for letting me come on your show, and I always start with the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful. We can hit the protest, but I really wanted to hit the cover-up. The cover-up is the piece in the history of the cover-up and the police brutality against black men. It's the cover-up and the police officers who came to me, who told me about what happened in 2015, Brother Martin. What wound up happening, some police officers came to me and told me, Brother Shaheed, would you say a prayer with us? We prayed. It's a police officer that killed a brother by the name of Anthony Lamar Smith about 3 or 4 years ago. And they started bringing me all the evidence. And they told me the guy who's now the intern police chief named O'Toole, Lawrence O'Toole, was the main person who covered it up. He told me the mayor of the city of St. Louis, who at that time was Francis Slate, covered it up. He told me that Jeff Rainford, who was his chief of staff, he told me that Jennifer Joyce covered it up. That Jennifer Joyce, who was the circuit attorney at that point, that she covered it up, that the FBI covered it up. These police officers came to me, they put their life on the line, they were scared as I don't know what, but they said this is not what police do. And this is really what I'm talking about now. I'm keeping out the cover-up. The cover-up is worse than, well, it's not as worse as the murder, but it's just on the same level. They told me that Lieutenant Colonel Lakeshaw, who's known in the city of St. Louis, Ferguson, St. Louis area, he's known for putting guns and dope on black folks and taking their money. This is what these police officers came and told me, Brother Shaheed, please keep this cover up, because the murder is one thing, the protest is one thing, the things that's happening around the community with the verdict is something too. But Brother Shaheed, if you don't keep the cover up out there and how they're covering it up, and you know the history of covering it up all through America, and I'm not anti-police, the police officer wouldn't have brought this to me, but what they told me is that these police officers, and this guy now is the O'Toole, Lawrence O'Toole, he's now the intern police chief running the city of St. Louis, and they're doing all kinds of things. Yes, we're protesting, and that's the reason we're protesting. They're protesting because these people are in positions of power that have put drugs and guns and dope on black folks, and that's what they're known for. There's one guy is on HBO all the time, Lakeshaw, he's on Showtime because he does boxing, but we want the world to know about the cover and how they covered it up and why they.
So in terms of police internal affairs, in terms of city council, mayor, alderman, are there any particular actions you've taken your allegations to them? Or what has been the official response from them?
Yes, right now they haven't did anything, and that's why we study protesting, because we've asked for them to step down, and until they step down, we're hitting them economically. We're hitting them, I mean, in areas that they never expected, and we're canceling their conventions, we're canceling all kind of events that they have, and we're closing them down in each area, and we're going into major white communities where they thought we would never go into. I'm talking about communities that black folks normally have never went into, because we know the pain and suffering of these mothers and fathers. This was the Mike Brown before the Mike Brown, but we know the pain and suffering of mothers and fathers and how they are hurting because of these young brothers. I'm in the streets, Brother Roland.
Got it.
Martin. Sir?
No, go okay, about 30 seconds, go ahead.
Okay, I'm in the street with these young brothers, and they, a lot of them would like to do good, but if they don't have any jobs and don't have anybody helping them. But this cover-up is a big thing, and that's the reason, you know, at this end, I want to just take a knee down here for what Brother Cole and Kaepernick did, and how he's showing the murders and the police brutality that's happening throughout this country. It's a history of cover-up, and it's not just in St. Louis, Ferguson. It's all around the country, brother. And I want the international world to know our human rights are being denied and our constitutional rights are being denied all through America.
All right, Anthony Shahi, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Quickly go to our panel here. Again, these protests are in their third week, not getting lots of attention, but the reality is, by continuing the protest, and the people out there who are saying, well, you know, why you keep doing the protest, I guess they forgot Montgomery went 381 days.
That's right. I mean, you're the only news show that is doing this on a national level. And let's be very clear. The cover-up he's putting out there, this is the criminal enterprise that enables these people to kill our people with impunity. They're not going to be punished. And so you putting drugs on folks. I would have asked him, it'd be interesting, who are the political allies in the city of St. Louis on the council? What's the mayor's position? Because they're going to have to answer this because they're out there protesting.
Spencer, we have the case out of Michigan where the cop, white cop pulls the black guy over. We saw it on the dash cam video where they planted drugs in his car. They have to raise taxes to pay that settlement. And this guy here, Stockley, clearly planted a gun in the car. You hit his back to the camera. They see him reaching into a bag, and you see something going on. Then he goes back into the car. Then go, oh, I found a gun.
Yeah, our inability to hold police accountable is not helping police. It's not making us more safe. It's hurting taxpayers. It's hurting public safety. We got to address this problem.
I actually wrote an article last year, I'm worried about my son. And it talks about in households across this country how people are having conversations in terms of how their sons should interact with the police. But in this particular situation, not even a code of conduct, which we're preaching to our kids right now, would change the circumstances around this particular situation. But I agree with you, what you said, Spencer. It's about holding these police officers accountable for their actions, and that's what we have to do.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.